Today we're talking about what is intuition and can you really trust it? And the reason why that we're talking about this today is because I've noticed that we get a lot of people who come from a mystical or sort of this new age background to my channel, and we talk a lot about mainstream religion and the Abrahamic religions, and I think a lot of people are starting to begin to realize that those are BS. Now, however, New Ageism and mystical intuition and all this sort of thing is another big trap, and so you're going to see me talk a lot about these New Age concepts and things like this lately. And intuition plays a big role in New Ageism, Eastern religion, and things like this. And the thing is that as we talk about intuition today, I want you to realize that this video is neither anti-intuition, nor is it pro-intuition. What I'm going to do is lay out exactly what intuition is, give you the facts about it, and then tell you exactly what we need to do to work with it properly. So, it's not going to be like, oh yes, intuition is the best thing ever, or intuition is BS. It's going to be exactly what it is and how we can work with it. And it's kind of like this idea how, whenever I'm anti-Trump, people automatically think I'm pro-Biden. Whenever I'm anti-Biden, people automatically think I'm pro-Trump. Whenever I talk, against atheism, people always think I'm religious. Whenever I talk against religion, people always think I'm an atheist. I'm sure you guys see this, where it's not about this one or the other, this sort of thing. It's about stepping and transcending these concepts. And so when it comes to intuition, what you're going to see here is that, again, it's neither pro-intuition or anti-intuition. It's about, hey, let's understand what intuition is and how we can use it properly. Because intuition is extremely powerful. However, it can also be very dangerous. I mean, let's get real, guys. Human beings are half crazy. Really. Human beings are half crazy. Consciousness is not it's a very new development. We've spent, so many years being unconscious beings, and consciousness, being able to rationally reflect the development of self-awareness, is something that is relatively new in terms of evolutionary development. So we're pulling ourselves out of the unconscious, and again, human beings are sort of half insane because of this. And so what we need to do is understand what intuition is, because if you don't understand what intuition is and how to properly use it, it can make you lose your mind. It really can. And I'm going to give you some examples of people who go way off the deep end with intuition, and they've lost their marbles. They're a little they're a little crazy. So the big thing to realize here is that intuition is related to the unconscious. And now we don't want to get rid of the unconscious, but we want the unconscious and consciousness to work together. So the important thing about understanding this is, first of all, to understand what intuition is at all, because how can you even know what you're talking about if you haven't, defined your terms and whatnot. So, and most people have absolutely no idea what intuition is. They just sort of throw this word around. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're talking about. So this is going to be a really important topic. And I know it's a little different than what I normally talk about. But again, the reason why I want to discuss it is because, we need to really start to understand the difference, say, between Hyperionism and becoming higher and rationally understanding reality, and a lot of these sort of New Age and mystical traditions and things like this. So as we go in today, we're going to be talking about what intuition is, can you trust it, and how to best organize and structure your mind so that you can get the unconscious and conscious to work together optimally. If I were just trying to be popular or appeal to the crowd, I would tell you that intuition is the best thing ever, because it's not a popular topic to say anything negative about intuition. And again, I'm not just going to be saying negative things about intuition. I'm going to tell you exactly what it is and how to use it properly. But again, this isn't a popular topic. People don't like people just want to hear that intuition is always right and you should always trust your intuition. Right? If I were just trying to be one of those spiritual gurus, those YouTubers, I'd be like, oh yes, just trust your intuition. It's divine wisdom from the source and your angel guides or something like that. No. Intuition is powerful. Intuition is powerful, and it has a place, and it needs to be approached in a certain way. And again, it's about intuitions related to the unconscious, but we are conscious, and so we want the unconscious and the conscious to work together, and we want intuition and reason to be able to work together. So the first thing that I want to talk about here is what is intuition? What is it? Because I bet you hear a lot of people talk about intuition, but can they tell you what intuition is? Most likely not. So what intuition is a direct mental content without conscious reasoning. So it's an immediate mental content without conscious reasoning. It's this sort of direct receiving of a mental content, information. And I think that, actually, let me give you this quote. Here's a really good, so this is a really fantastic book on Hegel's Science of Logic by Richard Winfield. Not a beginner's book. Definitely not. If you're not familiar with Hegel, don't go out and get this, because it's definitely not for beginners. But it's good if you are familiar with Hegel. But in it, I think this is a fantastic quote by Richard Winfield talking about intuition. So one has an intuition when one has a mental content by which one is in immediate relation to what it is about. Okay? So basically, again, it's pretty simple. It's pretty simple. There's not a lot more to define it. It's a direct mental content without conscious reasoning. Now here's the difficulty here. Now it says, why should intuition's immediate apprehension have legitimacy? First of all, how do we know what is immediately given? How do we know that we all have the same common intuitions to which everyone is always appealing when they lay claim to intuitions? What gives intuition authority? Are we not starting with a fundamental assumption that we can depend upon intuition? Yet what certifies the truth of what we intuit? And then those who appeal to immediate apprehension are rejecting reason. So for when you conceptualize something, you don't just take it in as given, you transform what is immediately given and put it into a certain form. So let's unpack what this means. Basically, what this is saying is, intuition is a direct mental content, arise that you get to without conscious reasoning. And the idea here is, though, those who think that intuition is truth, first of all, how do you know that it's true? And how do you know that it has any legitimacy? And what happens when, you arrive at two different people who have two different intuitions, and who's right? One person A has intuition A and person B has intuition B. Well, who's right? So what we need to understand here is reason needs to be applied to intuition. Everything has its place. And so intuition is very powerful, and it can be a great indication of something to look into or examine further. However, we must then apply reason to it. So here's the thing. Let's say you get an intuition. Then what you need to do is apply reason to it, to examine it, to see if it has any merit, to see if it has legitimacy. So those who are, mystics, New Agers, whatnot, they just immediately get a mental intuition, and then they don't even examine it with conscious reasoning. They just think, oh, it's truth. And then they, vomit it everywhere as though it were the truth. And the thing is that It's not. It's not. It's getting a mental content that one has to then examine with reason. That's what reason does. Reason is the guiding, structuring, filtering, and examining function. You get a mental content, and then you want to use reason to kind of, look at it, turn it around, look at it at different angles, see if it's consistent, see if it's complete, see if there's anything missing from it, see if it's right. And a good example about this are psychedelics, okay? Remember, disclaimer, don't do anything illegal, don't do anything harmful, blah, blah, blah. But psychedelics put one in a highly intuitive state, okay? So if you're doing psychedelics, it's very possible for you to be in a highly intuitive state, and you're just getting like all these sort of revelations about, oh wow, great ideas, thoughts about reality, things like this, right? It's a lot more detailed than that, but this video is not about psychedelics. Then imagine that you sober up. You're going to then look at that, and guess what? Some of that mental content that you had, you're going to think, wow, that was really amazing. But others, you're going to think, oh wow, so some of those other things that I was thinking, no, that was actually not accurate. I was just fucking high. Right? So some of the ideas that you take back with you are fantastic, and others are not so great. And so this is why we need to apply conscious reasoning to intuition. So everything, again, everything, and with regard to psychedelics, I don't want to get into the idea of that, conception versus perceptual content. That's for another video. Psychedelics are for another video. But the idea here, the important thing to understand is that everything has its place, okay? We have emotions, we have the senses, we have intuition, and we have reason. And we don't want to deny any of these things, but we want to put them in their proper place, because if you put them in the wrong place, you get awful results. And if you put intuition as truth, you are going to go crazy. And I mean that literally. You will lose your mind if you put intuition first. And you can see this in a lot of New Age type stuff. David Icke is a great example, okay? So if you're, let's say, reading a book on David Icke or something, you'll be like, oh, wow, some of this is, some really good idea. Oh, yeah, David is saying that the world is an illusion. Oh, that's great. He's saying that it's all frequency. Oh, wow, that's really good. Oh, wait. Now he's saying that the moon is hollow and filled with reptilians, and that the moon is actually a spaceship here to dominate Earth. And it starts to go real crazy real fast, because intuition, it's sort of like a dream. Again, and it's like that psychedelic state. You'll get, really good intuitions. But if you aren't using logic and reason to then examine and structure and filter it, you're gonna go crazy, and you're gonna go real fast from some good ideas, like reality is frequency, to, oh my God, the Earth is a hollow moon base, and we're being mind controlled by the, you don't want to go off the deep end. And that's where we have to understand all the different functions that we have and how to order them properly. Okay, so we have emotions, we have senses, we have intuition, and we have reason. And again, so they all have a proper place, right? Like the senses are how we navigate the holos. Without the senses, it'd be very, very difficult to pick up a glass, hear what people have to say. The senses are how we navigate the holos, the so-called physical world. That's what the senses are for. But they don't reveal truth. Emotions are what give us drive. Like desire. We wouldn't get out of bed if we didn't have desire. We just lay there all day. Emotions are the fuel, what give us drive, what give us, our passions. That's what emotions are. But they don't deliver truth. Intuition is our connection to the unconscious. And reason is the ordering, structuring, and guiding function. And they each have their place and are each very important. But if you put one in the wrong place, disaster will result. And that's why reason has to be the highest faculty. Reason is the function that sits above all the others, orders, structures, examines, filters, all the others, puts them in their place. You don't want emotions to be at the top. You're going to, if you're just feeling really angry, you're going to go out there and chop someone's head off or something. You don't want your senses to be at the top because there's a lot more to reality than just physicality. You don't want intuition to be at the top because, as we've seen, intuition is very, very chaotic. It's the tumultuous waters of the unconscious, and you'll go into crazy land real quick. But each one has its place. We're not saying they're bad or negative, or you should get rid of them or negate them. It's just that each one has its place. Just like if you're driving a car, the fuel goes in the gas tank. You, as the driver, hold the steering wheel. Each piece of the car has a certain proper place. You don't want to start, putting gas all over the car and trying to drive the car blindfolded. No. Like you have to make sure each proper component is properly coordinated. And the idea here with regard to intuition is, again, so like you have all these, what disaster results. And so if you place emotions at the top, well, what does that's where you get mainstream religion. Mainstream religion is what happens when you place emotions first. Because then you go with what makes you feel good. Oh, believing in God, I feel loved, I feel comforted, I feel taken care of. You go with your emotions, right, with mainstream religion. Empirical science is what happens when you place the senses as the truth function. Then you just go, oh, well, what I can observe, what I can do a physical experiment upon, that is the truth, nothing more. And then you get empirical materialist science, which denies the existence of the mind and the soul and free will and all this, etc. And then New Ageism and mysticism is what happens when you place intuition first. And then you get these crazy ideas, wild conspiracy, so you get some things right, but you get wild conspiracy ideas about, oh my God, microchipping, vaccinations, and, hollow moon bases, and flat earth, and ascension, you get a lot of crazy ideas. So Hyperionism is what you get when you place reason first. And it's not that we're denying all the other functions, it's just they have a proper place. Reason is the pinnacle. And so when you're using reason and intuition together, you're having what you need to think of intuition as. Intuition is sort of like, it's very, very powerful. It's like raw energy, raw content. And then what reason does is it takes that raw content and it structures it, orders it, filters it, and puts it in its proper, it's like nuclear energy, you need to be careful. You need to put the hazmat suit on. You need to be careful with it. But it's also very powerful. And this is why you don't want to get rid of intuition, because if you get rid of intuition, well, then you don't have much to structure and organize. You just sort of become like a dead, lifeless robot. So intuition is important. So do you see how intuition is like the content that reason then takes and molds? But you need both. You need the molder and that which molds. So you need the intuition and you need the reason to structure it. So again, it's not that intuition is wrong, it's that everything has its proper place. And if you don't, you're going to go off the deep end. Have you seen that meme where it's that actor from Are You Ever It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and he's got that crazy look, and behind him there's like all the he has like a conspiracy theory board. That's what happens if you are just pure intuition and you don't know how to reason, because you're going to get these mental content. And then if you don't know how to reason connect right, your mind automatically wants to form a picture. It wants to make connections. It wants to make a whole. That's what it wants to do. If you imagine, getting thrown a bunch of puzzle pieces, your mind wants to put a puzzle piece together. But if you don't know how to reason correctly, you're going to come up with wild, crazy conspiracy theories, crazy ideas, etc. Now, I want to make it clear that intuition, though, is very, very, very powerful, and is a great indication as to what you then should apply your critical, rational, conscious mind to. Because what intuition also is, it's sort of like unconscious reasoning. Or you have conscious reasoning and then unconscious reasoning. We want to always apply conscious reasoning. Okay, so your unconscious is constantly behind the scenes and picking up on things that your conscious mind isn't. So, like, here's a example. Let's say that you're in a relationship. And let's say that you have an intuition that your boyfriend or girlfriend or whoever, non-gender specific, your partner, let's say that you have an intuition that your partner is cheating. Right? You're just like, oh, I just have this feeling, that he's cheating, or she's cheating, or they're cheating. Now, why? Well, what's going on here is that, basically, why should you trust that? Should you go with it? Basically, what's going on here is your unconscious mind is extremely powerful, and it's working behind the scenes. So what your unconscious mind may do is pick up on a lot of little details that your conscious mind doesn't. You might notice unconsciously that your partner is deviating from their normal pattern. Perhaps they're, making a certain expression that they don't normally make, or they're not quite as talkative when they're eating with you, or they're, spending a little bit of a longer time in the other room, and in your conscious mind might not even be aware of that at all. But your unconscious can pick all this up and then sort of just send the intuition that, oh, something is amiss to your consciousness. Now, so that can be a great, so like in this case, intuition is a great indication of something to check out, then apply reasoning to. But does that mean that 100% it's true? No. Your partner also might just be really stressed because they got in trouble at work or something. And so yes, they are acting a little different because your unconscious is picking up on all these factors. But just because you get an intuition that your partner is cheating doesn't necessarily mean that it's true. But it's a powerful indication that you should look into it. You should try. So again, do you see how intuition is powerful? It's your unconscious is working in the background, picking up on all these things that you are missing, but it can go wrong and awry. So you want to apply conscious reasoning to it. And again, this is where you'll get people who talk about angel numbers and things like this. This is another example. If you start, let's say that you see a meme about 1111. Well, guess what? Your unconscious mind is going to start to notice these numbers in the corner of your eye, in your computer screen or on your phone, because you've given it importance. You've weighted it with importance. Now, so your unconscious mind will start to pick up, even though you might not consciously notice it, but because you've given it importance, it'll say, hey, you've told me that this number is important. I've picked up onto it. Now look at your screen, because it's there it is. And so basically what this is just your unconscious alerting you to the fact that something that you find important is there. It's on your phone, it's on your radio, it's on your whatever. But this doesn't mean that angels are communicating with you, or aliens or whatever are having some kind of communication with you. So do you see, intuition now can start, you don't want to take everything that intuition gives to you as true. Intuition is just going to be giving you things, but it's raw, unfiltered content. Your conscious reasoning is what must order it and structure it. Because once again, two different people can have entirely two different intuitions. And then this is how you get crazy religions and people go to war with each other because their intuitions are different. For example, imagine one person says, oh, I have the intuition that existence is one. Well, what if someone else has the intuition that existence is many? What are you going to do there? Well, guess what? Reason understands that reality is both one and many, and that we can. So intuition can also not give you. You might only pick up on pieces and bits. But you could imagine that these two intuitions could diverge into competing religions that end up going to war with each other. And that's what happened with mainstream religion. But not with regard to intuition though, but because mainstream religion is, it does incorporate intuition. Don't get me wrong, it does incorporate intuition, but it's primarily fueled by emotion. Now, again, you can see where it can go. Really wrong. So what I want, the main thing to talk about here is that reason is superior to intuition. Okay? Hands down, reason is superior to intuition. Does this mean we should dismiss intuition? No, intuition is incredibly important. It's the raw energy. But saying that reason is superior doesn't mean to get rid of the raw energy. It means place reason above in the ordering function, so then it can structure that raw energy into something intelligible, something structured, something rational. Again, when you are in a psychedelic state, you're getting all these great intuitions. Some people do. Not everyone. It depends on the person. It depends on the mind. But that's not what this video is about. But you could be getting all these intuitions. But guess what? We don't want to be just high out of our minds all the time. We'd have an insane world. We also need to apply critical thinking and reason. That's insanely important, okay? We need a world guided by logic and reason. That's what allows us to live in a healthy, connected community. And so intuition is very powerful. It's a great indicator, and it's a form of unconscious reasoning. It picks up things that your consciousness doesn't, but that doesn't mean you should believe everything that is given to you. It needs to be organized by reason. So art is a powerful way for accessing your unconscious and being able to develop your intuition, because basically what's happening is if you're creating a piece of art, you're letting your unconscious come out. When you paint something that is reflecting something symbolically of your inner world, you're letting your unconscious start to come to the surface. You're turning what is inner into outer, because your unconscious communicates in symbols. And so to develop your intuition, it's about just finding ways to form a deeper connection with your unconscious mind. So definitely check out my videos on inner star actualization, because that's all about making the unconscious conscious. So even when you work on your shadow self, when you work on your mirror self, when you work on your power self, that's going to really develop your intuition, because you're working with your unconscious. The more you develop a relationship with your unconscious, the more you develop a connection with your unconscious through our process of inner star actualization, through art, through dream work. This is all forming a powerful connection with your intuition, and it's going to develop it more and more and more and more. It's kind of like, the more that you write down your dreams, the more vivid your dreams will be, the more dreams you will remember. The more that you work with your unconscious, the stronger you will develop that intuition. So it's, that's really important. Just always remember to also develop your conscious reasoning as being the organizing, ordering, and filtering function that is the most important part. So always remember that intuition is extremely powerful. It's that raw energy, but we need reason to be able to order it and structure it. And reason is the highest faculty of mind. So make sure that, when people always just say, oh, just trust your intuition, trust your gut. I mean, again, how evolved is that? Trust your gut. No, intuition can be a great indicator. Okay, a great indicator. But you need to apply conscious reasoning to it. See how it's that symbiotic relationship. Intuition provides the raw energy, and then reason structures it and orders it as the highest faculty of mind. So people don't like to hear this, but it's true. And the reason why that people don't like to hear this is that a lot of people are actually afraid of consciousness. They are afraid of consciousness, and consciousness is a new development. That's why humans started, humans were originally guided purely by the unconscious, okay? Humans were purely guided by the unconscious before they were self-aware. And what happened is when they started developing consciousness, they didn't like being in charge of their own life. So what did they start to do? They started praying to gods, praying to idols, asking gods what they should do, casting lots, coming up with divinatory practices to see, throwing, sticks in the air and seeing what the sticks would do, or even, looking at animal entrails and trying to see, because they don't want to be in charge of their own mind. They want someone else or something else to tell them. And you see this a lot, today with people who get engaged in like divinatory practices, or start blaming the planets, or the planet, such and such a planet is in such and such a state, that means that I should behave this way, or my life is going shitty right now, it's because of such and such a planet's in retrograde. It's like no. This is just inherently a fear of consciousness. Things happen because the world is in a certain state, and you are in a certain state, and you are in control of this. And so, again, people don't like to hear this sort of thing, but it's true. People don't want to take responsibility. People don't like consciousness, really. So intuition is very powerful, and it can be a fantastic indicator. But always make sure that you have developed your reasoning and you are guiding it according to reason, or else, by God, you're going to go crazy and start believing in hollow moons and angel ascension into the 45th plane and all of these ideas that have no basis in reality. It's just unconscious content that has been taken out of context and gone completely wild and out of control. And the other important thing to understand here is that those who place intuition first won't listen to reason. Again, this is mysticism and New Ageism. If you just go, intuition is true, and it's true because I got this download, then you're not going to listen to reason. Just like, a religious person quotes from the Bible, and they won't listen to reason. They only go with what's in the Bible. Those who are into New Ageism and mysticism won't listen to reason anymore. It'll just be based on their personal, mystical, intuitive experience. Nope, I had this intuition that, the god Thor was talking to me, or whatever. Like, it's it's hard to, there's some really crazy stuff out here, and so you always have to have your reason well developed. It's the highest faculty of mind. That's what keeps us sane, guys. Look, human beings are all half crazy. We've all emerged out of the unconscious into consciousness this is a relatively new development. And so humans are all half crazy. I mean, look, they're all out there killing each other. People are starving. It's insane. So what we need to do, okay, is realize that reason is what allows us to all get on the same page and to bring us out of this insanity. And pure intuition without reason, that'll just lead you deeper and deeper into insanity, because intuition, that's your connection to the deep waters of the unconscious, which is great, but you're gonna drown if you don't know how to swim. And so reason is what allows you to swim. Okay? It's if you're on a ship, reason is the steering wheel and the sails. If you don't have that, you're going to be sucked under and you're going to drown. So intuition is very powerful. It's a great indication. It's extremely important, but make sure that you have developed your faculty of reason as the ordering and structuring function, so that we may truly rise up as gods and goddesses, and not be pulled down into the insane places that mysticism, New Ageism, and this pure faith, intuition, takes us. So intuition is powerful, but make sure that you use reason to be your guide. And real quick, I just wanted to say it again, the difference between emotions and intuition, just to highlight again. Emotion is, it's like happiness or sadness or joy, depression. These are emotions. Intuition is a mental content arrived at directly without conscious reasoning. Some sort of conclusion, about the world, about reality, about yourself, about anything really, but without conscious reasoning. Very different from emotion, but I know that does confuse some people, so I wanted to put it out there.